Okie dokie. So back at it again, and we're gonna talk about Isabella Kalua. Um, here real quick. Sound check and make sure y'all can hear me. Sound check. Make sure y'all can hear me. So y'all can you hear me? Here we go. First thing I want to do just to get you up to speed if you uh haven't seen my other video about Isabella Kalua, or if you haven't like heard of her case or been following it, here is Isabella's part one video. In the early morning hours of Monday, September 13th, 2021, the Honolulu Police Department responded to a call for service at the Puha Street home of Isaac Sonny Kalua and his wife Lehua. Once there, officers received a missing child report concerning the couple's 6-year-old adoptive daughter, Isabella Kalua, whose birth name is Ariel Sellers. She was last seen in her bed around 9 p.m. the previous night and is said to have been wearing a black hoodie, black leggings, colorful socks, and black Nike slides with pink bottoms. Isabella's disappearance did not meet the requirements for an Amber Alert to be issued. However, a full-scale search effort was quickly organized by law enforcement. They used helicopters, ATVs, drones, and help from volunteers from the local community. Missing child posters with Isabella's photo and description were made and posted around the area. Searchers combed through brush and woods looking for Isabella. Law enforcement went door to door, informing neighbors that a child was missing. Residents were asked to review home security footage for anything that might be helpful, as well as to check around their property for places a small child could hide or possibly become stuck in. Waimanalo District Park, just a short distance from the Kalua home, soon became the headquarters of the search, with law enforcement helping to organize and direct the volunteer effort. Waimanalo. Searchers found no trace of Isabella during the morning search hours. That afternoon, as efforts to find Isabella continued in the Waimanalo area, Child Protective Services removed Isabella's 3 siblings from the Kalua home. The Kaluas had begun taking care of Isabella about 5 years ago and had legally adopted her within the last year. Over the years, The Kaluas had also taken in three of Isabella's four sisters as foster children. The fifth child currently lives with a relative. In the early evening, Sergeant Chris Kim from Crime Stoppers gave a press conference, fielding questions from reporters. Here is a condensed video.
Okay, so Crime Stoppers and the Honolulu Police Department are seeking the public's assistance in helping to locate 6-year-old Isabella Kalua. She was last seen in her bedroom of her Kahu Street address in the Waimanalo area. So once again, we're asking for the public, if you know anything about this case, please contact HPD or Crime Stoppers. Our phones will be manned throughout the night. So if you have any information, please contact us as soon as possible. Basically, Isabella is 6 years old. She's approximately 3 feet 3 inches tall. She's a mixed ethnicity of Caucasian, mixed, approximately 46 pounds, brown hair and brown eyes. She was last seen wearing a black hoodie, black leggings, colorful socks, Nike slides with pink bottom. I believe those are like Nike type slippers, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so at this point, it's been classified as a missing persons case. Investigators are looking at it, with a fine-tooth comb. There are other agencies involved in assisting us. Once again, at this time, it's just classified as a missing persons case. Because she's been reported missing from the Waimanalo area, we're asking for for the community, the Waimanalo community, please rally together. If you know anything about this case, if you want to set up your own search teams, help the family out. My understanding is that there were postings on social media with people offering assistance. Certainly, if the public feels like they want to do that, they're more than welcome to do that. Well, I think just in general, if you do see a juvenile out there, especially at 6 years old, without any adult supervision or someone watching over them, please feel free to contact a police officer, go out there and check out the situation. Once again, she went missing from her Puha Street address in the Waimanalo area, but this is actually going out island-wide. So as far as that's a question that keeps coming up is the Amber Alert. There are certain criteria that need to be met at this point. Although she is under the age of 17 years old, those criteria haven't been met. So as of right now, it's staying as a missing persons case. So my understanding that we do have our SSD officers out there with the dogs. There are detectives out there. The FBI has offered their assistance, as well as the Missing Children's Center of Hawaii are also involved. I think it's fair to say that until she's recovered, HPD is not going to stop looking for her. And that's what we're asking for the public. Please, if you know anything about this case, please update us, report anything, however minute it may be. Let us sort through the tips. Just offer us whatever information that you have. Once again, things can certainly change, as time goes on.
By 9 p.m., there was still no sign of 6-year-old Isabella. She had been missing for 24 hours. Searches continued into the night. Please stay tuned for part 2, day 2. Consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. Thank you. So we have Isabella missing. That was Sergeant Chris Kim from the Honolulu Crime Stoppers Division, and the press conference that he gave shortly after Isabella was reported missing. It was the same day, as a matter of fact, that afternoon. Now you heard in there that Protective Services had removed Isabella's siblings from the adoptive placement with the Kaluas. Although Isabella had been legally adopted already, her siblings hadn't. 3 of her 4 sisters also lived with the Kaluas. They were in the process of adopting them. As a matter of fact, there's a petition out now to stop the adoption. But before we get into that, on the first day of the search, it was said that Isabella's disappearance did not meet the criteria for a Miley Amber Alert to be issued. Although she was under the age of 17, she was not considered to be in imminent danger. There was no vehicle or suspect description, and so that wasn't done for her in her case. Now, I question, why is it that a 6-year-old is missing and not considered to be in imminent danger, especially when you don't know the circumstances of her disappearance for sure. You don't know if someone took her, you don't know if she wandered off. Either way, I would consider a 6-year-old to be in imminent danger. I'm sure they have some protocol, criteria, description of what constitutes imminent danger, but just on the common sense human level, a 6-year-old missing from their home, it constitutes imminent danger, because they could have, what if she wandered off by herself? She's in danger of someone snatching her. She's in danger of being hit by a car or falling off a cliff, or, God knows what. Um, So that part doesn't make sense to me in any of the Amber Alerts where it's said that they're not considered to be in imminent danger when a child is of a certain age. Now, if you're a little older, maybe 12, 13, 14, then maybe not, because a child of that age can at least, kind of have a better sense of if someone is going to hurt them. They kind of know, hey, don't get in the car with or talk to strangers. And I hear my little co-host waking up, but we're going to try to do this stream anyway. I might have to turn off my video, but I'll keep the audio on. Now, Isabella. The first thing was, one of her bio aunts flew in from Maui, because although she had been adopted, now the circumstances of her adoption, her parents had been living with relatives, and it came to a point where they ended up being homeless. And in the course of their being homeless, now I am not clear if protective services were called on them, or even if the Kaluas came to have custody of Isabella originally through courts or protective services, or if it was solely by the will of the parents. In one article, it says that Isabella's bio mom knew the brother of Lehua Kalua and asked Lehua if she could take custody of Isabella. And that later on, she also asked her if she could take custody of uh, the other children as well. At that point, I don't know if that was like an official thing, or if that was just, hey, I know you, I need some help. Can you take care of my kids? Let me pause that. Lost my train of thought for a second. Okay, but in the last year, so Isabella has been with the Kaluas for about 5 years now. And in the last year, they legally adopted her. So it hasn't quite been a year since she has been legally adopted by Lehua and Isaac Kalua. And they are currently in the process of also adopting her 3 other siblings who live with them. Isabella's birth name is Ariel Sellers. And after adoption, they changed her name to Isabella Kalua, but they still refer to her as Ariel. Some things that came up. The mother, on the second day of the search, which would have been the 14th of September, uh, she had done an interview, and in that interview, she made it known that the last time she saw Isabella was a scheduled visitation about a year ago, and that at that uh, visitation, she saw signs of abuse. She said that Isabella had bumps on her head, she had bruises on her arms, and she had swollen fingers. I don't know if she officially reported that or pointed it out to social workers, protective services, or anyone in the courts. But later on, it also came out that Isabella, over the last 2 years, has had some severe injuries. One injury was that she had two broken fingers, and apparently, in that case, uh, medical treatment was not sought immediately. It was delayed. And in the second case, she had a broken leg. And the explanation that was given was that she had fallen off a trampoline or somehow injured herself on a trampoline. In both of those cases, there was a panel review. We'll get into one of the articles where it'll say exactly what that was, but there was a panel review, two separate ones, one for each injury. And that's basically where the powers that be, protective services, caseworkers, social workers, blah, 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 they come together and they try to decide, well, is this something that points to abuse? Do we need to remove this child from this placement? How should we handle this? And obviously, it was decided that the child should remain with the Kaluas because, of course, she's with the Kaluas. Well, in June of this year, Isabella was a kindergartner. She was a student at Waimanalo Elementary. And in June of this year, her adoptive parents removed her from school and said that they wanted to homeschool her. Now, we're going to read an article where a child abuse expert by the name of Steve Lane says that that was a red flag because a lot of times homeschooling is used to cover abuse because there is basically no supervision of a child who's being homeschooled. And also because there's really nothing that you have to do to be approved to homeschool other than file the paperwork and say that that's what you want to do. It came out that Isaac Kalua, the adoptive father, had previous criminal history, which actually, according to Hawaii statutes, should have precluded him from fostering children. And somehow that slipped between the cracks. That's another red flag. He had criminal charges for uh, making terroristic threats, aggravated assault, and attempted aggravated assault. We're going to get into that as well. Now, this is Search Day 2. This is on KHON 2, a local Honolulu local news station. And it is describing the search. Jamie Kumai is one of Isabella's biological aunts, and you're going to see several of them involved in the search efforts for her and being very vocal about the situation. Jamie Kamai says, "We will continue to search as long as we need. We're going to continue until we find her or until we hear anything. And all we can hope for is for the best. Pray for the best. We ask if you know something, see something, hear something, say something." This is the aunt who flew in from Maui to participate in the search for her niece. You can see that people, the community, wanted to help find her badly. You have people putting her missing flyer on their vehicles. This is the aunt, Jamie Kumai, who flew in from Maui. In this picture, she's looking at a map of the search area. They were very well organized in this search, considering how many community volunteers they had, plus multiple law enforcement and other agencies involved. They had maps, sections assigned. They were really on the spot with this search. Uh, Now, during the search, they found a photo album that contained pictures of Isabella. That photo album was found in a dumpster. Now, originally, when I was researching this case, I was of the understanding that that was found on like day 2 or day 3 of the search. However, I was watching another YouTube channel who covered this case, and there's not very many. She is not really getting much coverage at all. Outside of the local news agencies, uh, no one's really heard of this. Local news agencies and a few YouTube channels. But on another YouTube channel that did some coverage on this case, she said that the photo album with Isabella's photos were found a week before she was reported missing. I don't want to go with that because if that's the case and someone found a photo album, because this photo album was apparently turned over to police. Well, if you find a photo album containing pictures of some unknown child, you have no reason really, I mean, to think anything of this picture album being in the dumpster. There's no reason for you to turn it over to police. There's no reason for you to find it odd or, so it stands to reason that under the circumstances, this photo album would have been found after she was reported missing and it was made known publicly. That way, someone finding it would have cause to think, hey, you know what? Maybe I need to give this to the cops. Why is her photo album in the dumpster and she's missing? Uh, so here it says, according to a witness, officers searched Waimanalo Refuse Convenience Center. I believe that's a recycling center because it was referred to as a dump in another article. Located down the road from Waimanalo District Park. The witness said police searched the dumpsters as well as junk refrigerators and washers. A second witness said a photo album with pictures of Isabella was found a week ago at the dump. Okay, so I guess it was a week ago. Um, at the dump and was turned in to police. Jamie Kumai, Isabella's biological aunt, said she did hear about a photo album. So that kind of even makes it a little bit more odd because it was found a week before she went missing. So why would anyone get rid of an album of photos of a child? Oh, just it's just not something that you do. Like you just don't get rid of pictures of your kid, whether it's an adopted child or your natural child or whatever. Who gets rid of their kids' pictures? Um, the only way I can see that happening innocently is if it was just completely by accident. Maybe the child threw it away in a little fit of anger or something, but I just don't see that happening. I don't think that's um, very likely. Now, during the actual search for her, during the actual search for her, there was a bag found that contained items. And at first, these items, it was obviously items belonging to a child slippers, toys, clothing. They did not at first know if it was related to the case. It was, however, later confirmed that these items did indeed belong to Isabella. They were found in a canal near Bellows Air Force Base. This article on the Star Advisor, it's actually the Honolulu Star Advisor, says police made a discovery Thursday inside Bellows Air Force Base in connection with the search for the missing 6-year-old Waimanalo girl, Isabella Kalua, known to her biological family as Ariel. The Honolulu Police Department set up a roadblock Thursday afternoon, but officers on scene would not confirm news reports that a backpack or bag of toys and slippers was found possibly belonging to Isabella. HPD Homicide Lieutenant Dina, and I want to say her name is Tomez, who oversees the missing persons section, said in a written statement earlier in the afternoon, at this time, foul play has not been ruled out. However, the case remains a missing persons case. So these were found in some separate areas. Now, I want to go back to this article. And what I want to do is I want to pull this up on a map and see how far, because this is the first time I've seen the actual name of the place that it was found. The other articles that I've read simply referred to it as the dump or something like that. It didn't say the actual name of. So let's see how far that is from Bellows Air Force Station. And then we're also going to add in her home. Okay, so here we have her home, which is on Puha Street in Waimanalo. And then we have this dump where it was found. Now, I want to think that it was placed in some type of waste bin and delivered to the dump. It's possible somebody actually took the stuff out there to the dump, and that was one of the items that was contained in it. Let's see here. Let's take this off. So that's about a mile away. I'm gonna add Bellows. Then all the way up here, actually on Bellows Air Force Station. This bag was found with items that did turn out to belong to Isabella. So that's a pretty good little spread there. Let's take this off. It was that is about 15 minutes, about 5.5 miles. Just over 5.5 miles. Now, I find it extremely odd that you would find her items in a canal on an Air Force base, since the article did say inside um, Bellows Air Force Station. It leads me to wonder if um, someone in the military or with access to that military base might have some connection to Isabella going missing. A contractor, someone who works in the galley or something like that. We have a Navy base in my hometown where I grew up, and I know there are a lot of people from the community who aren't in the military, but they work on the base, so they have access to various areas of the Navy station there. Uh, During the search, they searched. Let me zoom out a little bit and give you a better little view. All up and down this coast here, these various beaches, they searched all in here. They searched several areas around here, not far from her home. There is an area called Enchanted Lake, which was added to the search, I want to say on day 2. They referred to it as Enchanted Lake, but it's actually called something else. And this is the Enchanted Lake. They did bring in some dive teams. They brought in eventually the Coast Guard and some other agencies as well. So, in conjunction with the fact that Detective Thomas said that foul play is not ruled out. I wonder if early on they may have been doing a simultaneous search for remains as well as for a living child. Now, the Kaluas have not really spoken to media or anyone else. As a matter of fact, quite early on, let's see, Sunny and Lahua Kalua, quite early on, they hired an attorney. At first, he was presented as being the family spokesperson, but it turns out that he is actually one of the top rated criminal attorneys in Hawaii. And this is the person who was acting as their family spokesperson. They had been advised not to speak to uh, the public, especially not to the media. The family actually said that law enforcement told them not to talk to reporters, but I find that a little hard to believe. I don't think it was law enforcement that told them that. Uh, as a matter of fact, right here on AP News, Associated Press, you'll see where I hate all these ads popping up. It's so annoying. Okay. It says Sonny Kalua told the Associated Press Thursday that he and Leilani Kalua adopted the girl in January. We're instructed by the detectives from day one that we're not supposed to talk to reporters. I have never in any case heard the police advise uh, anyone not to speak to reporters. Not saying that it isn't true or it couldn't happen, but it just doesn't sound very likely to me. Now, this article here starts off saying that the members of the missing girl's family have been fully cooperative with the police. However, in one of the very first articles that came out, um, where Detective Tobes was speaking, she had said that, uh, excuse me, she had said that the family and acquaintances of the family were not being fully cooperative. Um, and then eventually, in a subsequent article, she said that this family attorney had reached out to them and made arrangements for some of the family and acquaintances to come in to be interviewed. The Kaluas did eventually go in, and according to their attorney, they gave several hours worth of recorded statements and written statements. Something that was interjected into the narrative uh, was that Isabella had a habit of sneaking out of the house in the middle of the night and sleeping in the yard. I found that a strange statement, and I believe that it was meant to be self serving and self bolstering on the part of the adoptive family. Like, hey, this is normal. She does this. She's always been out in the yard when we went to look for her, blah, blah, blah. Well, I think it's actually damaging to the family because when you think about it, what 6 year old feels safer or more comfortable sleeping outside in a yard than they do inside their home in their warm bed? It seems that the family made that statement because they wanted to normalize in some way that type of behavior and therefore throw suspicion off of themselves like, hey, she does this all the time. We didn't do anything to her. Maybe someone snatched her out of the yard. Maybe she wandered a little further than she usually does. Uh, the family, the adoptive family, has also said that uh, they had installed security cameras and alarms around the house because of her habit of wandering out, and that the alarm had gone off for the front door at about 1:30 in the morning. And so I have to question the truth of that statement, because if this 6-year-old child was in the habit of going out of the house and sleeping in the yard, and you have gone to the extent of installing alarms, why didn't you respond to it? Why did you have an alarm that was set up in such a way that it would alert you and wake you up if she should just so happen to open the door in the middle of the night? Not only that, aside from alarms and video cameras, which coincidentally, apparently, the Ring doorbell cameras or other security system cameras weren't working, so they didn't capture her leaving the house at 1:30 in the morning. But not only that, if you felt that it was an issue to the point where you needed to install cameras and alarms on doors, why didn't you also install some other type of security features, locks that she couldn't reach, um, a deadbolt that she couldn't unlock without a key, just anything, something that would have kept her from leaving the house if this had actually been a problem and a known regular behavior for this child. So I think where they made this statement, trying to make themselves look uh, less culpable, that they actually did themselves a disservice, because you making that statement just opens you up to more questions. I mean, I know if my 6-year-old was to get up and go sleep in the yard, I think something was really wrong. Like, dude, you just, even thinking of me as a kid, there's no way you could have gotten me to go outside and sleep in a yard at 6 years old. I didn't even want to go out of the house on the porch at night. I'd probably go out there with my granddad if he was sitting out there smoking, but going out the door by myself at night, no, especially not at 6. But then again, I'm a big coward. I'm scared of everything. So let me see if I can pull that up. And then also, they have a neighbor who says that she's seen the children out in the yard playing or whatever, but that Isabella rarely ever came down as far as the sidewalk. So I also have a hard time believing that Isabella would have uh, wandered out of the yard on her own. This is the Honolulu Star Advisor. Most of the articles that I pull up are going to be Honolulu Star Advisor, KHON2, and there's another one, but they've really been covering her case a lot and very well. Now, this article was from that Monday when the search was finally suspended. So she actually got exactly 7 days worth of search. Of course, it is an island. It's a lot smaller area to cover, so that could play a part in it. It says the search for missing 6-year-old Isabella Kalua was suspended Monday by the Honolulu Police Department. A spokeswoman for the department said the investigation into the disappearance of the Waimanalo area girl remains active and that detectives will continue to follow up on ideas. Department spokeswoman Michelle Yu said anyone with information on this case should contact HPD or Crime Stoppers at 955-8300. 8300, and that area code is 808, just in case you need to call from outside of the Hawaii area. The public also can send anonymous web tips to HonoluluCrimeStoppers.org or via the P3 Tips app. The girl was last seen in her room at her Puha Street address in Waimanalo on Sunday, September 12th, around 9 p.m., according to police. And I'm gonna point out another thing here that kind of stood out to me. It's just completely odd. Isabella's adoptive parents, Isaac K. Sonny Kalua III, and his wife Lehua, said they think Isabella may have been abducted or simply wandered off, according to a family spokesperson, William Harrison. Now, William Harrison is that top-notch criminal defense attorney. Who has said police were immediately called at 6 a.m. Monday when the couple awoke to find her gone. They also allowed police to search the house. Harrison, a criminal defense attorney, has said that the child has a history of going outside at night to sleep in the yard and that electronic locks on the house confirm when she left the home. He said he is acting as a counselor and advised them not to search for Isabella, speak to the media, or engage social media because they were getting death threats and didn't want their words to get twisted. So as I said before, I don't think it was ever the police who told them not to speak to reporters. I think it was always the attorney who had given them that advice. Also, you'll notice this article is dated the 20th of September. Isabella disappeared on the supposedly sometime between the night of the 12th and the morning of the 13th. So this is a week later where we're seeing this. She likes to go outside and sleep in the yard being interjected. Uh, and here's the information. I was talking earlier about how she had some serious injuries before. Says Child Welfare Services investigated 2 serious injuries that Isabella suffered in the past 2 years. Hawaii News Now reported Monday evening the first injury was a broken finger in October of 2019 when her adoptive family says she was slammed in a door. In January of 2020, she suffered a broken leg and was taken to the emergency room, the TV station reported. The family said the girl was injured on a trampoline. In both cases, a panel of experts determined there was no maltreatment. Meanwhile, her biological family has been organizing search efforts since the girl, named Ariel Sellers at birth, disappeared. Hundreds of volunteers have looked for the girl in coordination with the Honolulu Police and Fire Departments and multiple state and federal partners. At a candlelight vigil held Sunday at Waimanalo District Park, the family announced it would no longer help coordinate the volunteer searches for the girl. A spokesman for the family said the search would continue, but not at the park, which also served as a command post for police and other authorities. Another family member at the vigil encouraged the community to leave a light on for Isabella. So there's a lot of stuff going on that to me just really sounds suspect. Let me pull up another web page here because I want to just go immediately from this one topic to the next. All right, and here is this is Steve Lane gave an interview, and he is a foster care expert, and some of his insights. All right, this is the correct page because I've already pre-highlighted some stuff. Now it says a foster care expert says there are several red flags in 6-year-old Isabella Ariel Kalua's disappearance and adoptive family placement. This is coming from HawaiiNewsNow.com. That's that third station outlet that I could not think of the name of. Steve Lane, the principal investigator in severe high-profile child abuse cases in Hawaii, is even questioning whether the state should have placed the Waimanalo 6-year-old and her siblings with their adoptive family to begin with. I'd asked who the social worker was, who approved this family, he said, and on what basis. His concerns stem from her adoptive father's criminal history. According to court records, Isaac Kalua III was convicted on 3 counts of terroristic threatening and assault 20 years ago and sentenced to 5 years probation. The broad outlines of what's required of the Department of Human Services in licensing a foster parent, giving them wide opportunity to deny a license. It's inconceivable to me that anybody with that kind of criminal record and convictions of physical violence would be licensed as a foster family. Lane says another red flag is that the 6-year-old wasn't going to school in person. The State Department of Education confirms Isabella attended kindergarten at Waimanalo Elementary School last year via distance learning. In June, however, her adoptive parents filed paperwork to withdraw the child and homeschool her. Lane says that's been used in the past to hide evidence of abuse. There's virtually nothing that you have to do to warrant your application for homeschooling to be approved, nor is there any supervision provided for children once they are placed in homeschool. On Tuesday, volunteers were told to stay away from the Puha Street home where the little girl disappeared. The girl's biological aunt said it was because they were asked not to go there. When asked why, Jamie Kumai said, "It's just for the respect and boundaries of those parties." Lehua and Isaac Kalua haven't publicly participated in any search efforts. HNN has also learned through multiple sources that they've asked for an attorney. On Thursday, Hawaii News Now did get in touch with someone over the phone at the Kalua residence to give them a chance to tell their side of the story. A man said HPD detectives instructed them not to speak to the press. Hawaii News Now asked Honolulu Police Department officials if that was true and has not received a response. Now, this is a newer article that I have not actually gotten a chance to look at. So we're just going to glance through it together. From the headline, I kind of get the gist that it's talking about homeschooling being used to cover child abuse in a lot of cases. Disappeared from her home. She was homeschooled. Isabella was born to Ariel Sellers. I'm going to read this part because I can tell it's going to give some background information. Isabella was born Ariel Sellers to Melanie Joseph and Adam Sellers, who also had 4 other daughters. The 5 girls were removed from the Josephs' home due to their parents' drug use. 1 girl went to live with a family member, while Ariel and her other 3 sisters were fostered by the Kaluas. Isaac Kalua has several felony convictions for assault and terroristic threatening. Investigators are trying to determine how Ariel and her sisters were placed with the Kaluas. The Kaluas changed Ariel's name to Isabella and eventually adopted her. In October 2019, the Kaluas delayed seeking treatment after Isabella broke her finger. According to the Kaluas, Isabella's hand was slammed in a door. In January 2020, Isabella went to the ER with a broken leg, which the Kaluas claimed was related to jumping on a trampoline. Both injuries were investigated by Child Services, who determined there was no maltreatment. During the 2020-2021 school year, Isabella was enrolled in kindergarten at Waimanalo Elementary via distance learning. However, in June 2021, her adoptive parents filed paperwork to withdraw her and homeschool her. And it goes on to give some information about her going out and sleeping in the yard. Here's something that I didn't see anywhere else. So it says, according to Joseph, that's Isabella's biological mother. According to Joseph, a boy in Isabella's class said he had not seen her in a week. It's unclear what class she meant. Joseph's family, including Isabella's biological aunt, Lana Idao, organized a massive search for Isabella. According to family spokesman Jamie Kumai, the Kaluas did not participate in the search. The search was suspended September 20th, and Isabella's three sisters were removed from the Kaluas' custody, and the investigation is ongoing. Okay. Guess I should have been a little more specific with that search. There's an article. It should have been. I'm getting ready to close this out here in just a minute. There's one more article that I really want to read. I don't think this is the exact article, but it may be. I think this is it. Okay, that's not going to be it. Well, so let me look at one more thing here. All right, this might be it. This is a Facebook post, but the text looks the same as the article I was reading, and I believe that is going to be it. Okay, that's not it. So I cannot find that article right now. I'm not going to spend any more time on looking for that. We're going to read about the candlelight vigil that the family held for her, and then we're going to just call this quits for the night. Family holds vigil for missing 6-year-old Isabella Kalua, September 20th. And this is from Yahoo Sports, but it is originally from the Honolulu Star Advertiser. A somber moment came Sunday night in the search for missing 6-year-old Isabella Kalua, known to her biological family as Ariel, when they announced they will no longer coordinate the hundreds of volunteers who have been looking for any signs of the Waimanalo girl. A few hundred people, many school-aged children with their parents and grandparents, joined Sunday in a candlelight vigil and a moment of silence for Isabella. Her birth mother, Melanie Joseph, knelt down on one knee and held Isabella's younger sister on the other, holding a candle in the darkness, surrounded by supporters. Jamie Kumai, a relative and family spokesman, addressed the crowd gathered at the Waimanalo District Park, saying that the search will continue but will no longer be coordinated at the park. She encouraged those who do so to be safe. She thanked those who attended the vigil, those physically here, spiritually, all the food donations that we've been getting, everybody coming out every day, the love and support we've been getting. We cannot express how grateful we are for you guys. Without you guys, we wouldn't have come this far to hold it together as a family. Cousin Elena Kael said of their search for Isabella, "We will never stop going." Another family member encouraged the community, "Leave a light on for Isabella." Isabella's adoptive parents, Isaac K. Kalua III and wife Lehua, told police that she was last seen at 9 p.m. September the 12th, asleep in her bedroom at their Puha Street home, and they awoke the next morning to find her missing. Now, about the night that she was last seen, it's said that she was seen wearing a black hoodie, black leggings, colorful socks, and black Nike slides with pink bottoms. Now, the shoes, they probably could have guessed which shoes she had on based on which shoes were missing out of her room, maybe what her favorite pair of shoes were that she normally liked to put on. But the fact that they say she was last seen wearing a black hoodie, leggings, and leggings, and I'm thinking, why is this child in bed wearing a hoodie? So to me, nothing about this case adds up. Like, it just really doesn't make sense that this child disappeared in the middle of the night, went to bed fully dressed, disappeared in the middle of the night, mysteriously a week before she is reported missing. A photo album of her is found at a recycling center. Uh, a friend of hers, a child who knows her, says they haven't seen her in a week. A bag of her stuff, and they aren't sure if it was, I can't get clarity on it, whether it was a garbage bag or a backpack, but a bag of her stuff was found in a canal inside a military base. Um, I am going to do a little more research and see if I can find out if Sonny or Lehua Kalua has any connection to the military, if they're active duty, retired, part time, something like that. Um, it's not going to be easy because as much as I've searched, uh, I have actually not even been able to come up with a picture of Sunny and Lehua that I can be sure is them. I've seen another channel that had covered them, and they had a picture of the Kalua family that included Sunny and Lehua Kalua. Isabella was on it. I'm assuming the other children that were in the picture were her three siblings, and I think one or two other children were in the picture, probably their biological children. I searched up and down, and I could not find that image anywhere on my own. I have found one picture of, I believe it to be Lehua, but I don't want to put it in any of my videos or post it anywhere because I'm not 100% sure that that is her. She looks a little bit different from the one picture that I know for sure is Lehua. On Isaac, I I can't find pictures of him. There's a picture that I saw on another channel that's him. He's older, heavy set black guy. When I search for Isaac Kalua, Sonny Kalua, Isaac Sonny Kalua, Isaac Kalua the third, and in conjunction with Hawaii or with Waimanalo, I come up with consistently a picture of a younger black guy that could possibly be like a younger picture of him, but I doubt it just because of the way that he's dressed. It's it's been hard for me to find pictures of them. I've searched on Facebook. Most of their friends have their profiles pretty much private all the way. You can't really see pictures. The few who have their friends lists and pictures on public, I've gone through them. I have not seen pictures that seem to me like it's them. I've tried like going through friends lists and checking through certain names like Kumai and some others that have come up, and I just reach all kinds of dead ends. I'm not able to find like pictures of the kids. I'm not able to really find uh, pictures that are for sure the adoptive parents. I went down through searching her biological parents' names, and I believe I found two profiles on Facebook that are associated with the bio mom Melanie Joseph, but they're private. As I said, they're private. You can't see the pictures. On one of them, you can see friends list, and I clicked through to several of the friends on the friends list, but you really can't see anything on their profiles either. So um, this is this is a bunch of people who don't like they're not public like that. So I think that it may not be easy to find just like information on them. I'm gonna go ahead and put up Isabella's missing flyer here. Where you at? Oh well, dang. Well, anyway, Isabella Kalua. She is mixed with Caucasian, and it doesn't really say what other race. She's 6 years old, 3 feet 3 inches tall, 46 pounds, brown hair, brown eyes. She was last seen wearing a black hoodie, black leggings, colorful socks, and Nike slides with pink bottoms. I don't know where this little baby is or what happened to her, but I would really like to know. I would really like to see her come home safe. It seems that even though she was adopted due to some issues that her parents were having, it seems that this child was very much loved by her biological family, including her biological mom. I have not seen or heard anything of the biological father in the time that she's been missing. The only thing I read was that he is currently in a drug rehab center, so that could have a lot to do with it. But the fact that her biological family came out on day one, and were very active, very vocal in the search for this young lady, I think that speaks volumes. And I can't really comment as to her situation with being adopted and being removed from her parents' care. I keep seeing that they were homeless and that they had drug issues. I have nowhere read that she was abused at the hands of her biological parents. I'm sure due to the drug use and the fact that they were homeless, there was at least some level of neglect involved. But as far as beating, abusing, harming this child, I've seen nothing that says that. So I believe she was very much loved by her parents. They just were not in a way, uh, in a situation to be able to care for her the way that she needed to be cared for. And so she ended up in the system and eventually adopted. Isabella really needs to be found. Um, we need some answers. I personally want to know, why is her photo album in a dumpster a week before she's missing? Why are you trying to convince us that this 6-year-old kid likes to go outside and sleep in the yard rather than to sleep in the house. Why would she want to? What are you doing in the house that causes her to feel safer outside? Especially given the fact that, and I did not read that article because I could not find the particular one that I was looking for, but her biological mother says that she doesn't believe that because when Isabella was with her, she was not the type of child to wander off, that she would just stick with her. Every parent knows their child, so uh, I don't know. It just sounds suspect, even without that added uh, little descriptive from the mother, because 6-year-olds don't just choose to go out in the middle of the night and sleep in the yard. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. I think that was something that was interjected to create or control or push a certain narrative, and um, to take the focus off the adoptive parents, or to somehow make them seem less guilty, less culpable, less suspicious. I don't know. But this little girl needs to be found. Her stuff turned up on a military base. Like, who's connected to the military? I'm really sure that the detectives involved in this case have sense enough to ask these same questions, but I just got to put that in the air, man. Are they questioning who's connected to that family or to this child that's also connected to Bellows Air Station? Who works there? Who's enlisted there? Who, lives close enough there? Who's retired and goes to shop at the canteen there? I mean, so many questions, so few answers. That is the second part of Isabella's story, and I more than likely will not do any more coverage on her case until there is a major update. She's found, someone's arrested, they announce a suspect or a person of interest, something like that. Uh, Thank you for joining my stream, watching the video. Consider giving the channel